Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Griff.
Baga.
Baga wasn't actually paying attention. He didn't think we were actually going, I bet. $10.
I started
he
it on
thought
the
you were
dime.
kidding.
Like,
That was an awkward start too, because it was like Griffin just made a comment, and then you went right, and I was like,
Look,
okay.
the caffeine in my system right now almost didn't even want to wait for you to say your name. I just was going to be like, he's Chicken, and I'm just going to jump in. Whatever. Let's go. I got this. I'm doing it.
Oak's
We
missing
have the
this
absent
week, don't
sign
worry.
across me. That's great.
I don't. It's not on there. Yeah, I did have to check, though, just in case. I don't think you were the last person absent, though. I think Baca was, so if it was left over.
Fair.
Anyway. What's up,
No, it was
guys?
me.
No, it was him.
It was me.
You know
It was
what?
Oak.
I don't know. I don't keep track.
Yeah,
I
it was
can't
when I went
remember
to
what
Canada.
days are. Look,
Anyway.
man, time is hard.
Anyway. Moving on.
Days
That's
are
what
every-
this show is
every-
gonna be today. Welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. We are on so much caffeine that nobody knows what's happening anymore, and days are weird. Okay, go.
True.
Baka's face explains it all. What the fuck is wrong with these people this morning? Jesus Christ. I don't have enough caffeine for this.
Sorry, Baga.
I'm going the fuck back to bed.
That's how I felt this morning, waking up. But you know, here we are. What games has everybody been playing this week?
I always go first, so somebody else go in this time.
Okay, I played Cyberpunk, but beyond that, because that's not the important part. Surprise! There's a new video on my YouTube. Because I started Dragon Age Origins, and I freaking love that game. I love that series, and I hate that BioWare is slowly slipping away because I'm afraid of what's going to happen in the future. But at least I've got 3 really solid entries that I enjoy very, very much, and they're going up on YouTube, and it's been a lot of fun.
I watched the first episode. Like I'm committed to this one. I'm gonna do it because I know I'll never play these games. Like I've
What?
played
You
part
never
of
play a really big
Inquisition, but I'm
RPG
not
level?
gonna play the first. No, not playing those. But so it's like at least this way I can kind of get into it. Okay,
Fair.
let me tell you about these episodes. The episode that I loved, okay, is the fact that for like 20 minutes, because this is the same thing I do when you have character creation, she's creating her character
What do you want from me?
and then she has like a 5-minute, 10-minute conversation about the fact of why she doesn't wear a helmet, and and then picks the poofiest hair possible. And I'm like, that should give you some type of buff. If you got hit in the head with that hair, that
It
should count as a
helmet.
fucking helmet.
It's
Yes.
modded hair, so I think there
Yeah.
was one like pretty close to the start of them that was a little side bun that I should have picked instead. But it is what it is. I have hair that's like a mile high and it's a ponytail, so it is what
You
it
need
is.
like airbag hair. So if you get hit on it, it just like poofs out, kind of deflects the attacks.
We turn ourselves into the crash test dummies.
Exactly.
Uh.
Like that would be perfect. I mean, could you imagine that in modern day? Like you get shampoo, or if you get hit in the head too hard, it just like makes your hair
It's
explode.
shampoo. That's the best part.
It would remind me
Exactly.
of what's that movie? Is it Neighbors or whatever? That's the Seth Rogen movie with to where like he
Yes.
sits down. They did a practical joke on him. He sits down on top of a chair and it's got an airbag up underneath it and he shoots to the ceiling. That's what it would
Yes.
remind me of. And you could
be
use it as an
perfect.
emergency in the middle of a battle, right? Everybody's gathering around you real close. You could just hit a button and go poof.
There you go. I mean,
That'd
and it
knock
has
her
that
back.
sort of like stun thing because nobody's expecting it, right? Too. So when they first get up, they're like, "What just happened?" Yeah.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, just because it's modded hair does not mean that it comes with a bunch of crazy stats. So it's a base stat hair. Sorry, but I will not be wearing a helmet. Made that very clear.
Yes,
be
you
fair,
did. You made
when
that
you
extremely
see-
clear.
When you see some of the helmets, you're like, okay, yeah, I wouldn't wear that either. Like the stats are not worth me looking like that in an RPG where it's gonna put it on in cutscenes. Like, if it was one of those things where it took it off during cutscenes, I might consider it. But I'm not doing that. I can't take it
I don't
seriously.
understand why we're not in a day and age to where, and I get it that this game was made in, hold on, you said it 3 times in the thing, 2009?
Yep.
Okay.
For what,
So-
Dragon Age Origins?
Yeah.
Yes.
Origins.
Made in 2009, graphics from like 2002.
Right.
That, but I don't understand why people don't just go, okay, we want you to be able to have the stats from this, but we get they're not the most attractive thing and you like to see your people. So let you turn that off.
They
to
did
where
that
it's-
actually. By the time that you get to Inquisition, you can equip helmets but have their visuals turned off. So they got that memo, thankfully. Some other games did not. But yeah, you're right. It is to be fair, the game, like, my version of the game is running a bit prettier than the actual game because I have it so heavily modded. So it does have some, like, graphical touch-ups, especially for the companions, and my character, like, facial features and stuff got cleaned up a lot, which is nice, because, whew, BioWare gets real rough sometimes with their, like, this person looks great, let him go. Like, ooh, did you see how he was gonna look in-game, or did you just render that and the character creator and go? Because those are two totally different... BioWare's character creation screen is not the same visual that you see in-game most of the time. It's so weird. So weird. And I think I've talked about that before, especially with Andromeda. It's jarring because they're a bit different. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've been super excited and I'm looking forward to it because I'm recording on Monday nights now. And I'm making it more chill. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself about that stuff, and that made it really not fun. So, less pressure, more chill, fun game that I like. So, you can go watch it. The episode 2 will probably go up tonight or tomorrow, so. I will say you're welcome in advance, though, because I got wrapped up in the game, and I recorded for an hour solid without realizing it. But I cut it into 2 parts, so it's okay. You can still watch them separately.
That's good.
Got so in the zone.
It happens.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing. Oh, we played, this will lead into everybody else, but yesterday we played Phasmo on stream with Chicken, and that was fun. Everybody got to see how I play, which is walking in the house like I know something while the timer is, ticking, and then as soon as the timer is out, I'm gonna throw things in the front door.
I'm curious how many times I got chased and how many times I died. I think I died like 3 or 4 times.
You died a bunch last night.
Because we played 2 amateurs, 2... I died in the Asylum one where we decided to do Nightmare.
Nightmare in the Asylum, why even did you? I wasn't in that one. I let Red take my place, so... Yeah,
that one was instant death. He caught me behind the garbage cans. I hid there the first time, and she walked by. I saw her arm come through the door, and as she walked by, I was like, all right, go. I'm good. I'm safe. The second time, she's like, I saw you back there. So she opens up the door and comes behind the door in between the trash cans, and she leaves me there.
He's trying to get Red to come get a picture, and he's like, I'm between the trash cans. I'm right there next to the trash. And I was like, all I see is trash. I'm sorry.
This is the one from outside of the game.
But I lived because I was outside.
You weren't even in that game.
Right. I was the smart one that didn't go on that.
So did you live all night?
Me? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I knew Ollie, it was either Ollie or Wolfwood that was like, is she going to die this time?
It was Wolfwood. Ollie wasn't in chat.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. This is Wolfwood.
Just for the record, for everybody that watches and knows, she has never died. She's like level 400 and something. She has never died any of the games ever so far. She has been saved once by Baka. Her death was imminent.
Yeah.
It was absolutely imminent. Campfire. It spawned over by the tent right at the gate, and she was right next to the gate. It beelined straight for her, but Baka was walking towards the gate, and he got right in the way and died. If it was on Nightmare, she would have been dead too, but no, not that time.
So, I just play smart.
She would have been dead if it wasn't for the meddling Baka.
Yeah, pretty much.
So. And it's not playing smart, it's playing chicken.
The best way. It has ensured my survival this long. I will continue. Thank you. What else? Chicken and Baka. Since I opened the door to YouTube and Ark story. True.
Yeah, we did Ark.
We did Ark. We did some Red Dead. And we learned that Snitty is a murder hobo.
Yes. Okay, let me tell you, I have never personally loaded into Red Dead Online and immediately had to run from the cops. But both times that I've played with Snitty now, within the first 5 to 10 minutes of playing, I'm like, why are the cops chasing us again? Because I don't know reasons. Somebody is. It was Chicken and Snitty this time. Where it's Snitty went to the bar and got drunk, and then Chicken decided to take a drink out of the bar to see if he could drink it in the street, and then walked into somebody. Like you just
I did it on
pushed
purpose,
this
by the
guy.
way. It's called antagonizing, which I learned is a real thing. Like, the guy was walking at me, and I walked at him, and I bumped into him, and he stepped back, and I walked up on him again, and he's like, yo, buddy, you better step back. And I stood there. I didn't do anything else after that. And he's like, yo, man, you're going to have to back off. I'm warning you now. And then he pulled out his gun and started capping me. And I shot his ass right there. And next thing you know, lawmen just started pouring into the town. I ended up with
Yep.
like a 45-cent bounty because I just started killing him and then took off.
Oh man. Those two are chaos in that game for some reason. And Snitty
I'm
the whole
only
time
that-
is like, why are you not making the mean decision? Why are you sparing this guy? I want the money. It's like, because we're not mean people.
I'm only this way, by the way, when Snitty's around. Like, imagine it when two young boys are together and they just kind of just jump into the mud and start beating each other up.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way. Like, Snitty will just start roping me, and I'll get out of the rope, and I'll start dragging him, and then we'll start shooting each other, and then eventually a feud starts, and we just kill each other for like the next 20 minutes.
We loaded out of a mission last night, and Snitty and Baka were right there. And I think Snitty ran into Baka's horse or something and knocked him down. And because I didn't see the initial altercation, but I turned around to see. I watched Baka pull out his gun.
He shot my horse.
Oh, he shot him. I thought he just ran into him. Okay, so it was worse. It was intentional.
He shot my horse.
But I turned around
Yeah,
in time to see Baka's character pull out this giant ass rifle and shoot Snitty. Like that rifle's got such a kick that it actually knocked the character model backwards and he fell down in one shot. And I was like,
It's an elephant gun.
oh my god.
Yes, it is an elephant gun.
And I shot him, and then he got up, and he thought it'd be funny, and he got on my horse and started riding away, and then came running back, and he's like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" So I shot him again with the elephant gun and killed him off the horse.
Yeah.
And then after that, I I lassoed him and drug him behind me until he died.
Yeah. Baka's pretty savage about how he kills people. That's pretty crazy.
He fucked with my horse.
I will say the first Snitty body though, because the body doesn't go away. I picked it up and just put it on my horse and rode it to the next mission.
I've been there, done that before. Oh my goodness.
Man. You can't leave us unattended. We're not really adults. It just seems that way.
I mean, you're playing video games. At the end of the day, there's got to some of the adult has to kind of leave the room a little bit when you're playing video games.
Yes. Oh yes. So
Yeah.
is that all
Anything
you
else
played,
y'all got?
Becca?
What? Chicken finished Ghost of
Did-
Tsushima.
Did Baka freeze?
Baka's frozen.
I thought he was just being very pensive.
There he goes.
Oh, there he is.
There, he's moving
There he
again. Okay.
Yeah. Is that all you played, Baka? Animal Crossing, of
I
course.
have been working on Animal Crossing more.
I can't
So
get
it's
I've got-
new update.
On Harv's Island, I've got almost all the extra villager things unlocked. So, which the first one I did was red, so that way I can start trying to get more of the damn paintings and statues from the museum. But I did that. I unlocked Brewster. I've pretty much flattened a large section of my island out, and I'm moving all the houses and stuff over. Because where the village and everything is, I'm gonna completely rework that area and then move all the houses and everything back, and then move to the next section. I've got it divided up in like 4 sections basically in my head. I'm just gonna do a section at a time.
I cannot commit to that. I cannot commit
We've
to
already
completely
done
redoing our
that.
island. Well, I mean, we've already
I-
put, but he had all of his villagers in the same area too. He's just moving them elsewhere. I'm not doing
He's gonna
that.
move them back. Like I went through ridiculous, mundane measurements and whatnot to get everything lined up in perfect lines and making it like a full style neighborhood, and it was difficult because I had to lay out rows of flowers so that I could measure it out. It was like 4 rows, and then I would take a flower out and that would be the road for that one, and then I'd have 4 rows. It was a ridiculous amount of work to measure everything out to a precise degree so that it all lined up and looked good, and the houses weren't overlapping. Everybody got their own yard. It was
Yeah.
a lot to make sure it all looked good. And I'm not doing it again. I mean, I get into these moods.
So to be fair, I didn't quite have that originally. Like I just went with. I started because I didn't realize you could actually like mold the landscape for a while. So I was already laying things out accordingly, and just never.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I was like, I've got like 4 million bells, so might as well move some things around and mess with things.
Yeah. Oh man. I finished the Ghost of Tsushima DLC.
Yeah. Close to
I
100%.
finished almost 100%. The only achievement I did not get for the DLC was the one that I have to do the multiplayer online for, and I didn't want to have to do that, so that's the only one. It was one tale that I couldn't finish because the lady is like, oh, tell me about the story of the legends or whatever, and the legend stuff you're supposed to play online. It's like 3 huge chapters, and you play through it online. It's like RPG style.
Weird.
You have different classes and things like that. But that's the only one that I didn't do. I really enjoyed the story. It was definitely shorter DLC, but even with the short amount of time, they built such a good story around explaining Jin's PTSD and the trauma of his past and how he has come to kind of work through it. And like when you're forced to confront it, you either break or you break through. So it's the writing in that game is just really good. It's one of those things where it has near perfect gameplay, an absolutely engrossing story, and not an overabundance of stuff to do. Like it's just the right amount, not like Assassin's Creed where you've got a trillion different things to do and it's overloaded the game. It's like the perfect balance of everything. So I always will recommend people to play it. If you like Japanese history, you will fall in love with this game, period. If you just like good sword gameplay, this game has got that too.
The voice
If
actors
you
are all
want a
really
really good
amazing,
story,
too.
yeah, you can also play it in the original Japanese audio. So if you would rather that, like, the game is good. There's nothing more than I could say about it. And the DLC just adds on top of it. It's like you have this perfect cake that they made for you, and then they come out with this bowl of ice cream that you didn't know that you needed in your life. And you're like, wow, this goes perfect with this. Damn. So you get spoiled when you play something like that. So I think for when I start streaming next, I'm like, I can't decide on something modern day that I'm going to play, so I'm just going to take it back about 20 years and play something really old.
What are you going to play?
I played a game. It's called Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. It's a platformer style RPG, and it was one of the games that I played on the GameCube way back in the day. The puzzles were confusing for the young gamer of myself, and I bought it on Steam because they moved it over, and I was like, oh man, I really want to play this again. I have not played it since I beat it some 15 years ago.
2003 was the initial release date.
Some almost 20 years ago. And I, like, the way my brain works is I have these incredible picture memories. I could still remember so many of the pictures from it. I want to see how well my gamer self can beat the game now.
Wow. You have been a fan of that company that long.
Yeah,
What
that's
is it?
THQ.
Yep. That's the THQ Nordic game.
I just looked it up too. I was looking at it as well because I remember the game, but I never played it, and so I wanted to remember if that was the one I was thinking of. But yeah,
Hey, sometimes I've always been a fan of those off-brand, like non-big AAA games, man. Sometimes there's just with those AA games, there's just a little bit of magic that they put in there that makes them so different from your regular big blockbuster AAAs. There's a little bit more heart in there at least from my perspective. Everybody has their own.
If you look at the original dates that they had on here, it was GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox.
think it was PlayStation
Released in
2
North
that I played it
America in 2003.
Yeah.
Then they have a mobile version that came out in 2004. So only a year later, they came out
in
with a mobile version of the game.
2004.
And then they didn't come out with a PC version of the game until 2017, and now it's on Switch as well. So
Okay. It was a mobile version? Like, what?
I can't believe that there's a mobile version of 2004.
Were we on our flip phones at that point? Who's playing this game on their
think
Razor?
so.
Like,
I don't know.
let me
But that's
bring
what
out
it
my
says.
Razor phone or my BlackBerry real quick.
I mean,
Hang
maybe
on.
it's a typo. Maybe it's supposed to be 2014 or something, but it says
I
2004.
I don't know, but that's what I'm gonna need. That's what I'm gonna go back and play. I've already downloaded it. It should take me like a week, I would assume, to finish it out. Hopefully, I'm a lot smarter and a lot better gamer than I was almost 20 years ago. Oof.
Are you though?
I absolutely am. I would have probably got my ass beat the whole time through Ghost of Tsushima, playing it way back then. I just can't figure out how to get this shit working right.
That's got to be 2014.
I was impressed with your.
Still, I
You
just
think
can't
it's
get- I'm
2014?
looking at the phones that were released in 2004, and it's like the Nokia 7200, which was Nokia's flip phone that probably runs Snake. The Razor
Yeah.
came out that year. Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be the Sony Ericsson that had the little swivel. Yeah,
Oh wow, I forgot about that one.
that's gotta be
Oh my
wrong.
lord.
Sorry, okay, I didn't mean to derail, but I had to know what was available.
Yeah, I
that's
did
fine.
blame you on that one.
That's fine, but
Oh.
that, like, after playing Ghost of Tsushima, I need some, like, I don't think anything modern day in my brain will hold a candle to it. So I need to, like, throw myself way into the past, and it's something I've been wanting to play for a while. I just haven't gotten the time, and I think this would be the perfect reset. And then once I'm done with that, I can pick up something more
That's what I
modern.
should have done after Mass Effect, because I had that like huge game funk right after Mass Effect, because I couldn't find anything that could compare, and so I should have done that. I should have gone like super old in the catalog to find something.
Just find something way back that is so far from what you just played that kind of give you that funk, and then once you're reset, you could come back. It's
yeah,
like
it's
taking
like
a break.
palate cleanse.
Yeah, so I
I mean, you
wanna
could go back to original Halo. I mean, that's
Yeah.
far enough back, and you've got the new one that's coming out that you're not going to want to play. But at the end of the day, it is on. It's free, so you
I
can
told
play
her
it.
that if she doesn't want to play it, she could watch me because I'm going to stream it through Game Pass and just play it and see what it's about. And that way, I don't have to buy it. I can. I
And
can,
they
like,
they
see it.
they did say it takes place directly after 5.
Takes
so
place
there is no-
directly after 5. Okay.
So there's no comic book in between, but it does take place.
I mean,
after
comic
5.
books are really thin. You might be able to slide one in there.
You're right. To finish a plot line, there's not there, but it does take place after 5.
Yeah. Other than that, I've played some Red Dead, some Ark, and some Phasmo. Unfortunately, Ark has kind of gripped me again. Ugh. I hate when it does that.
I
Like,
love
I-
survival games though so much, so it's like I get it.
It just
Uh,
grips you every once in a while.
This right here. This is what I've been working on. I've completely redesigned our house into a mansion. I'm
For
going
those of
to
you that are listening to
deconstruct.
the audio version, he's showing a piece of
I
graph
showed-
paper where he's scratching, drawing out
Yeah,
what
he created
wants.
blueprints.
Yeah.
Entire blueprint so that I could, like, we have a huge shop and house area. I'm gonna deconstruct the entire thing and rebuild it from scratch, and it just kills me because it's gonna require so much work. But it's like, yeah, I want to do this. I'm gonna make it look so fucking good, and when I'm done, I'm gonna sit in the room and log off for like another 6 months.
Oh
I
my
found
god.
actually when we were getting ready to log out the other night, I forgot, and I happened to look in Chicken's open room, and Snitty's dude, because you don't disappear in Ark, so Snitty's dude is sitting in the corner, but he's still wearing the inflatable dinosaur outfit. So this like puffy inflatable dinosaur is just leaned up against the wall like a drunk guy in Chicken's room.
That's part of the reason why I'm remodeling the whole house too, is because we don't have enough rooms for everybody. So this new house will have 10 rooms, a roof, a whole kitchen area, a library area. Like, dude, I'm going up and above with this shit, which is probably more than I need to. But hey, it is what it is.
I'm glad we had a
Well
lot
said.
of game stuff to talk about because there's not a lot of news stuff. But Oak hasn't even gotten his yet, so I'm glad we have more.
Yeah.
Because like I just don't want to get to the news. Let's keep putting it off.
There's really not much to talk about.
I
We'll just
know.
burn
So
through
let's
these
talk
articles
about
real
Oak's
quick.
game stuff.
Let's be quick.
Oh, come
So
on.
I played some more Back for Blood, and we had a blast with it because it was one of those where it was like we were being very successful with it, and we had one guy that kind of knew what he was doing that was a random that was playing with us. So that part
I like
was
that you say
it was nice.
kinda new. Like
Yeah,
he
like
kinda
versus,
knew what he
but
was
then we
doing.
had one though. We had one that came in and was just like way ahead of us on everything, and it's like, so like because one of the things he set up, which y'all have played the game, so you have an idea of this too, and this is not unusual for a game in this style, which is you set everything up because you know when you push a button, the horde comes in, type deal, and we had people that were just hitting the fucking button
Stop new.
while we were trying to set all the shit up, and we're like, no, like what are you doing right now? So it
Play
took us a
fast
little
and
bit to get through a section because of that, but we ended up getting through that section, moving forward. But I'm really enjoying the game. I think it's just one of those fun, like I want to shoot things game without any consequences. I just want to shoot everything, not have to think too much, and just go through and shoot. It's like it's fun in that respect. And I'm finally able to make my own custom card kit on how I want to do it. Now I've got enough cards in the game, which is weird, to be able to pull up these different cards that are there. But did that. Also played through Psychonauts 2. I did Psychonauts 2 yesterday, and I've gotten a lot further into the game. I'm to the point now to where they like, if you go any further from here, it's going to send you somewhere else. You're not going to be able to do anything in this area. So they warned me ahead of time, which I love when games do that, because you're like, okay, I know I'm about to hit something big, so let me finish through. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing kind of all the housekeeping, if you will, and trying to make sure I catch all the keys and all that stuff. Really, the plot line so far I really enjoyed. I ended up going into one that was trying to tell a story, and it was all these psychedelic fucking colors. Like I'm talking like straight up 60s acid trip colors going on the screen, and you're trying to get everything that you need to get this band to play, we'll say.
Okay.
And so you're going through, and it's like, and then it like changed gameplay completely. You end up in a van, and you're having to drive the van somewhere, but just like a top-down view of a van that you're having to drive through this little area. And I'm like,
Weird.
I did not expect this. What just happened? You know, and you're moving it like.
See, that's what happens when you play
present the-
games and take drugs. Jeez.
Yeah, I know, right? They presented the game so well, and I'm convinced. I am so convinced that what Double Fine did is they go, okay, here is the concept for this level, because each one of the members of the van have their own level. So you turn around and you go, you, Bob, over here in the corner, we're gonna lock you in this room. Here's what this is the beginning, and here's the end of your level. The rest of the time, you consider what it is that needs to be done. All right, Tammy, you've got this one, this character over here, and you put it in there, and we're not gonna let either one of you know what the other one's working on.
Oh my god.
I am convinced, because they are totally two different levels, but they feel so good mechanically. Like, and it's just like the way that they design them is so trippy, and it's so awesome. There was one that was like a weird transition. I walk up a hill, and literally you could feel the camera move up with me, and it was so cinematic. Cloud was actually in the, because Cloud was wanting to know if he wanted to play the game, so he was watching, and he was in the chat, and he goes, "Holy crap, that transition's awesome!" I was like, "Right?" Like, because it just felt so natural as it pulled over, and it was just like, that's so weird. But it's really, really well done. I'm enjoying the game so much. I think that it's worth the 20-something years that everybody waited on this game, for those people that had played the original or wanted to play the new one. I think they've done a really good job on it so far, and I can't wait to see where this all goes and ends. And then hopefully it sets it up for another one, to where if you can
Hopefully
create
we
a
don't
game.
have to wait 20 years to get
Yeah, I
a
know,
third
right?
one.
Here even my 65-year-old ass going, "Yeah, a new game came out." You know,
Well, you
that
won't
was my
ever get
cane,
the-
by the way. That was my cane.
I mean, you'll get to be 80. You'll get to look forward to it when you're 80 something. Get the fourth title.
I know, right? It'll work out great.
And if you make it past 100, you'll get to see the fifth one.
Right?
Damn, sounds more a milestone.
Oldest
there.
gamer in the world. I got this. So I've enjoyed that. We did play some more Grounded, and I'm just gonna say this now, and I shouldn't have to say this to anybody that's ever played the game, but the wolf spiders are fucking dicks. They are the biggest assholes on the planet.
Wow.
And I hate them so much because I've been building, like, this is kind of like like Chicken. I was laughing because Chicken was talking about Ark and having to create this whole thing, and I had already in our original game tore down our base and started to rebuild it. Well, now we're in a new game, so we are already, built this tower up, and then I creating walkways to the important areas so we can build bases in those little areas and come back down, but we have our main base. And so I start working on it, and we've come to the conclusions to sleep at night because the spiders wander at night, and they'll come into your area. So I am trying to gather stuff. I knew the sun had gone down. I was like, cool with that. And I was like, all right, I'm going to gather as much stuff as I can. So I'm gathering all of these pieces of grass and putting them on pallets. And all of a sudden I hear...
And you're like, no, it's behind me. I don't want to turn around.
No! I hightail out. And then I get hit from behind. So my screen turns green around the outside of it. So I'm like, fuck, poisoned. And I'm running. I'm like, there's a spider. No Pants goes, I know already. He was near me. And I was like, oh, did it get you? And he goes, no, I got away before it got there. And I was like, you didn't say anything. And he goes, I thought you saw the grass move. And I was like, if you don't hear me say anything, I don't see it.
Oh,
My
man.
back was turned. He's like, well, I can't tell if your back is turned or not in the game. And I'm like, because all he sees is my little icon and knew that we were near each other. He couldn't see my actual person. I'm like, at no point did you think, hey, it's
I
coming
should say
near you?
something.
I'm going to give everybody a tip, a real quick tip. When you're playing survival games, do call outs. Your teammates will appreciate all the knowledge. Like, even if I'm off by myself, I let them know what is going on with me so that if I die, they can be like, oh, I need to go help him. Or, oh, he's next to me. I need to get the fuck out of here.
Right. Well, and see, like old man has bad hearing. So all of his sound is turned off because it does him zero good to have sound on. So I make sure that, like, if I'm up on the tower or whatever, I always look where he's at if he's close enough to see, and I look to see if there's any type of movement or anything like that, which it fucks you up too because the ladybugs also make the same exact movement with the grass. So you have to kind of pay attention. Do I see red or do I not? And so I'll turn around and I'll be like, there's movement. Hold on, old man. Okay, you need to get out of the way. You need to go to this direction or that direction, whatever. Right? And it'll be like, okay. Which we've all finally got to the point. For a while, it was a struggle bus. Because your thought process from a survival standpoint is, I want to run towards shelter. I want to keep myself safe. That's like a natural thing. If you think about a storm or anything like that in real life, you go inside to get away, right? Okay. So in the game, survival games, you don't do that. You run away from wherever it is because you don't want it to destroy whatever it is you built. And so it's taken us a little while to where all of us have gotten that into our system to where it move away. Well, we're building stuff and it's nighttime again. And I hear, I hear No Pants go, oh shit. And I was like, what? And he goes, I don't know if I'm glitching, but I think the spider's inside. And I was like, inside our house or inside of our fencing? He goes, fencing. And I was like, okay, where are you at? And there's this, right? Like where that electronic piece, there's one weed you can't cut down that's just there. And we use it to climb on top of this next to a rock. Yeah. So he's standing on the top of it. And I could just see the legs of the spider from a distance going, and going up toward him. And then it would calm down a little bit. And then it go toward him. And I goes, okay, I see where you're at. Well, I'm getting closer to it. And it kind of turns around and does the same thing. And I could see it going through my fencing. And so we had to figure out a strategy. And I was like, well, it's inside of our fence. If you go down immediately, give up and just respawn right there. So we could just die and keep coming back. Because one of the things they changed. Well, and one of the things they changed in the game that wasn't there to start with is when you die, whatever thing you have in your hand, you keep.
Oh,
so if you've got a spear, do what now?
Do you not do that now, or is that how it is now?
Originally, when it started, there was no. It was when you died, you lost everything, and you just had to go back to your backpack.
I mean, I remember it dropping.
And now you have one thing in your hand, so you don't have to go get to your backpack to be able to pick up a weapon to be able to use it. So you automatically have your weapon that you died with. So we were just getting there. We finally killed it. I was like, oh my God, because this thing was, they're freaky anyway. But it's like nighttime and all you see is the red eyes and the big long legs coming at you, and it's just creepy. So we killed it. We got it dead. It's dead. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, then we came up with the idea that we needed the mandibles, which are the soldier ants, are the only ones with the mandibles.
I don't want to kill them. They're nice.
So we had to go out and kill. No, those are the mean ones.
Oh.
Those are the ones that kill you if you come near them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's two style of ants now, evidently, and I've only seen one. So you have the two, like the regular red ant that would come up to you and say hi.
The
right?
worker ants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you have the soldier ones. Well, evidently now you have a variety of red and a variety of black. I don't know I haven't seen the black ones yet,
nice.
but that's what was supposedly in the new update. And
must be another anthill somewhere.
yeah, so we had to go up, and what we did is we would attack a worker ant to get the big soldier ants to notice us, and then they would come running at us. And we're like, you just had to hope that there was enough that you could like kite around a little bit and be able to attack them. And then once we killed enough of those, we were able to make the big giant ant club to be able to go over and kill a few more of them to be able to have stuff to use. So it's like, okay. But like overall, like, the designing and everything of the inside of the building that we're in, I designed it to where if you were going up or down, it was almost on the outer side of like it was inside the actual tower, but on the outer rim of the tower on the inside, you had a set of stairs. So you could just kind of spiral up from the outside. So if you were carrying something up or whatever, it was kind of a natural movement. Well, old man likes spiral staircases.
Oh no.
And he randomly took a spiral staircase and stuck it in the middle of the thing. And it was like, I had to go up and then go to the opposite side of the room, turn around, and then go the opposite direction around a spiral staircase, because the spiral staircase only spins one way in order to go up. And I complained about this. I memed about it constantly because I turned around and go, this would be great if I wasn't going the wrong direction up a set of stairs or whatever, because I was trying to do it. So I'm trying to continue to build, and I come up the stairs and the frickin' thing is gone. He'd taken it out. And I'm like, now what are you going to do? And he goes, well, we'll build you another set of stairs. And I said, well, that's cool and all, but I'm trying to work on this bridge and trying to get it done before the stream is over. Like, what are you doing? And so I'm like yelling at him about this. And I said, and here's the other thing. You should have destroyed it from the top and already had whatever you needed to go down so you could set up what you needed to and like create a floor where you're putting the hole at. So we had to rebuild. I had to spend time to rebuild a set of stairs and got up there. Finally got it. But I was so mad because he took that away, and I was like, no, like, let's finish what we're doing and then redo that part of it. But all right, fine. So we did get it. We got it taken care of, but it's so much fun because it's just, I love survival games in general. Like tonight we'll be playing Green Hell. And I love the survival game aspect of it. And the fact that every one of them feels different. And with Ark has its own feel to it. Yeah. And then you could go to something like Grounded, which is, let's be honest, it's basically a similar concept with just giant bugs instead of dinosaurs.
Well, you can't tame them though. Can't tame any of the bugs.
You can now.
Oh, okay.
The little green ones can be your buddies.
Okay, just those. But you don't.
As far as I know, it's just the green ones. I don't know about the worker ant and stuff yet. But if they get it to where you can ride an ant, I'm going straight up Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with this shit and just roaming around.
Yeah, you know what that game means.
What?
What?
Trapdoor spiders.
What?
Oh my
Trapdoor
god.
spiders?
No,
Trapdoor spiders.
Trapdoor
I don't
spiders.
need that in my life. You can keep it. Thanks.
Yours would just be attacked by sugar cookies.
Yeah, no shit. It'd just be like trapdoor cookies.
Pops
Yeah,
out
but
a
I
hole
still
and well,
You need a
like,
mod for
how-
it where
how
it looks
would
like
you
Cookie
get-
Monster.
How would you get your stuff back? Like it would like grab you and bring your body into its layer. So that's
It's
where its
probably-
backpack would be.
I feel like the backpack wouldn't be down into the hole. I feel like the backpack would be on the edge of the hole, but I don't know how you would handle that. And then how would you eliminate them?
Yeah, like you have to fire.
Burn them out.
Tried by fire to
Pretty
be
much.
purged.
Pretty much. Just toss a fire bomb or something down in there.
Yeah,
Explosive.
yell out exterminatus.
No.
Exterminatus! Boom.
Also, like before anybody, hopefully, nobody's run to the bottom of the YouTube comments yet. Yeah, I know Oak's audio desynced from his face. It was weird for me too. I can't do anything about it.
It
But
desynced
but
a
I
little
saw
bit,
it.
but it's okay.
I saw it. I saw your pain. People that are watching this, I get it.
Unfortunately, she's the one that has to record at the end of the day because theirs does that to me too, and I'm sure all of us does it every once in a while. But recording.
So I know. I saw. I know it's still a
Did it
little
do the-
desynced.
Was it a little desync or was it one of those where it was
No,
like
like
I was
you
kind
were
of paused
full
for a minute
on.
and then my mouse started moving real quick?
No, it just stuttered early on. It didn't like do the fast catch up thing. That whole time you were
Oh.
talking about grounded, you were completely desynced by like 3 or 4 words worth. You're still a
Really? It
little
was
off.
that bad?
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad on my end.
It was on mine. So
Yeah, but she's
people on
recording,
YouTube,
so
I know. I saw it. I just can't correct it. So it is what it is.
Mm.
can't help that.
I know. I usually get 1 or 2 comments when that happens. Somebody will either DM me or leave a comment on YouTube. Be like, hey, it's like, yes.
Yes,
The internet
yes,
is a
I know,
weird
I know,
place,
I know.
and if I tried to cut your audio and shift it, it would desync everybody else's. So there's really nothing I can do about it.
No, it's all good.
It is what it is. Just wanted to throw that out there for our YouTube people. Gotcha. I got you, fam.
Oh, and there's one more game I played
Okay.
that I just remembered. The new season of Doctor Who started,
That's
and
not a
there was a
that's
game
TV
that came.
Show.
Hold on, I'm getting there. And recently a game called Edge of Eternity, which is the Doctor Who game, came out, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play this or not. And then I was like, okay, I want to play this. So I ended up playing it the other night too, and there are no tutorials, no instructions whatsoever. This is a perfect chicken game, because he's not gonna.
because it just doesn't have it.
He's gonna skip it anyway. But it's like, I like pull up the controls and I'm like, this isn't telling me anything. Like, so I had to go around, click everything in a room until I finally figured out what I needed to click in order to get to the next part. And then after that, it kind of gives you an idea of what to do. But it literally starts you off blind. But it's neat because it does a lot of throwback to stuff that from the Doctor Who world that if you're a Whovian, you kind of know the stuff that's there. So it's kind of neat.
Nerd.
But I know I'm very nerdy. But I enjoyed it, and there's parts of it that are extremely freaking creepy. Because Doctor Who's like got that little bit of an edge of horror to it that's just slightly there, and they do a great job atmosphere wise to put you in those situations. So pretty neat. But that's all I had on it. No long story.
Oh,
No giant
okay.
spiders.
Good. I
Not this
think I've met my giant spider quota for the day. Thank you. Discussion of giant spiders. Check that off for the day. All right. Oh, let's talk about some new stuff. None of which is like overwhelmingly positive. Mostly the opposite.
Yeah, it's all boring shit. There's really
Yeah,
not
it's
much.
just some small stuff. Chicken pointed out because I forgot. Like, time is weird for me. Okay, didn't realize that we were like literally about a month out from the Game Awards, so that's why there's like nothing happening because everybody's saving it for next month to go there and show off everything and be excited about junk and stuff and things. So now what we're getting is like the bad news and small bits of it and things like that. So
Yep.
So this one makes me feel a little less bad for not having purchased Far Cry yet, because we've got another Ubisoft story. Ubisoft employees are launching a petition to basically, they want public support for improved working conditions because things are pretty terrible. Yeah, Ubisoft needs to definitely make some changes. Like, apparently one of the things they're doing is people that are causing problems, they're not firing them, they're promoting them so they're out of a department, or they're just moving them to another department instead of getting rid of the problem. So you're just tainting the whole company that way by stringing it along instead of actually dealing with any sort of problems. They want a lot of stuff that, honestly, it sounds like what they really need is a union. They need to unionize so that they can have some representatives and some actual power to get this stuff, instead of it just being like the public needs to support us. Because I think public opinion does support them as the workers. But
it's the workers need to unionize so that they can actually have power.
Well, and I think that's the thing about it is every major industry at some point had some type of union that was there. Your car industry, pipe fitters, coal, all that type of stuff, to make sure those conditions were where they actors to have those conditions that are there. I think I think unions in general have a bad reputation in ways because of the fact they don't look at full picture a lot of times.
Yeah.
So as that union ages, they'll try to get a raise. Well, what happens? A percentage of your money goes back to the union, so they're trying to get themselves more money at the same time. But I think this is one of those cases where you look at it and go, this is a beginning of a union that needs to happen. It needs to be to where you create that situation and then you regulate it accordingly. I think like SAG, where he was talking about with unions, has done a great job of that for actors. The Voice Actors Guild a few years ago did a really good job of trying to make sure that as their job changed, that they were being paid more as well. And in this case, you've got one of the largest, like the video game industry makes more money than the other industries do. So there needs to be something set up for safety, in my opinion. So
yes, agree, 100%. Times change, things change, society and cultural normals change, but some of these big businesses do not want change at all. So I mean,
and I think hard labor, which is where your traditional unions are at, is what people think of when they think of safety conditions. They don't think of it with something like this because they're like, well, all they do is sit in front of a computer all day. How hard could that be? And it's the same thing that you dealt with the voice actors.
When someone comes by your desk, takes a fart on your face, and then walks away, I think that's time to call for a union to tell people to stop doing that.
Well, there's other parts of that too, which is the amount of hours you're working and things too. But
yes. Like there are a lot of issues that need to be solved, and it just seems like nobody really wants to.
Because
at least the higher ups really don't want to.
So if you don't have to, why bother? You know, because like Ubisoft, this is not a new issue with Ubisoft. This has been going on for years. And I mean, I do feel strange about this, though, not because I'm supporting Ubisoft's behavior in any way, but it's just weird to me that they're like, we sent a letter in with all of our employees' signatures, and it's been 100 days and they haven't done anything, so now we're going to launch one for the public to sign. Ubisoft execs don't care that Griff Lynam, signed a petition. What are they going to do with this? How does this change anything for them? What is I guess it's to bring awareness and put eyes on the problem to, like, keep it in the public purview, which, you know, kudos for doing that. But at the same time, it doesn't really solve any of your issues. At this point, there needs to be, like, mass walkouts if it's, you know, awful and whatnot. Y'all need to actually, the people that can affect this need to do something about it, because I can't. I can just sign my name.
The main thing that they have to do is bring attention to it and scare the shareholders, like what's happening to Blizzard. Like their shares went from like $83 a share and dropped it to like $60 a share, and that was just a cliff.
Yeah.
And you know those stockholders and shareholders are like, whoa, no, Blizzard, you're gonna have to bring our money back up because that shit ain't happening.
Which, I mean, that
money,
is
unfortunately, is how it talks. It works.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you scare the big higher-ups and things will change.
Part of the reason for that drop, though, from the $83 to the $60-something had to do with one of our other stories that's on here
Yeah.
too, which is 2 of the games delaying,
Overwatch 2
which
and
is
Diablo 4.
probably a correlation from everything else that's going on
Yeah.
right now is the reason that
Yeah.
game's being delayed. So.
I mean, that's a good
Yeah.
transition into the Blizzard stuff. Is they delayed Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. Overwatch 2 was announced 2 years ago, and for it to be a multiplayer, basically, I don't want this to sound super bad, but it kind of is.
It's
For it to
super
be like a copy paste of what you already have, you're just changing some of the mechanics a little bit. 2 years out for your announcement for it is weird, especially since you've completely dropped a lot of there's no extra content coming to Overwatch, and there hasn't been in a while. There's no new heroes, no new maps. They're basically just putting out the old events that they had before and some new skins with those events. So I guess so they can focus on Overwatch 2, but why did you announce it that far back if you weren't anywhere near ready for it? Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
but I think in the announcement they said that though, didn't they?
Yeah,
I
like
think I
this is
remember him
just
saying it.
a teaser. We're still working on it. It's going to be a few years out. But the problem is that nobody expected this kind of nuclear explosion
Yeah.
from the inside
meltdown
when they
that's
announced
happening.
it. Yeah, I mean, they've lost. Jeff Kaplan was the ship's captain. He was the one full steering Overwatch with a deep passion of his. And he was like, deuces, I'm out of this bitch. And now the ship is literally floating, sitting there, not moving anywhere for the last couple of years. We had one dude get up there and be like, can I drive this thing? And it feels like they're just going in circles. This guy has no idea how to get this ship moving forward. Diablo 4 has lost their director. And if I'm not mistaken, I saw that they were looking for a new game director for Diablo 4. So they don't
That's
even
true.
have anybody at the helm of that game. So it's just circling the drain, too.
They lost their director and their lead designer.
yeah,
in the,
two pretty
Fallout stuff.
critical roles. And
Yeah.
who knows how many other people they've lost, too.
I just...
It's catastrophic
This
from the
is-
inside.
I know part of it is because of what's going on at Blizzard, but it's also just another reason why I'm super, super, super on don't announce your game until it's almost ready to launch. Because if you do this, it's the same thing that happened with Cyberpunk. There's been so many games that this has happened with in the past several years where they announce it and it gets delayed years down the line. It's not like, yay, we're going to have this game out, next year, and it got delayed 6 months and it's out. It's like, we're going to have this game out, in 2 months, and then it gets delayed 3 years, and then it comes out as a steaming pile of poo. So,
This is why whenever anything is announced, you can get hyped, but do not put too much stake in it. There are tens of millions of games that have been developed over the last 30, 35, 40 years. Find something else to fill that time. Stop searching. Stop refreshing the page looking for more news. Go find something else to do for the next 2 years.
See, I think that's where you look at it. The only announcement, and this is one I can think off the top of my head. This is the only announcement I can think off the top of my head that was very similar to what Griff just said. Fallout 4, because that was announced at E3 and was released in September of that same year. And they said that's when it's going to be released. That's when we're done. And they were as close as they possibly could to dropping that. And I think they did Fallout Shelter at the same time. And they were like, in the meantime, you can play
this
Fallout
until-
Shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah, until that comes
perfect.
out.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You could do 6 months. If you announce a game and then you're like, hey, which is what Nintendo for the most part does. They're only ready to announce things when they're fully done and ready. There are some exceptions when they get pounded so hard, like Bayonetta 3, but they announced Bayonetta 3 when it's getting closer to being done. They're like, okay, got maybe a year out, maybe a little more, but you guys can be ready for it. Here it is. But it's also the announcement trailer too. It's like, we're working on it. It's almost done. You just got to give us a little bit more time.
Well, and I'm okay with if you turn around and you say I'm working on this, we'll use the debacle of the mobile Diablo game versus Diablo 4 that we've talked about a million times, which is, where they should have gone. We're working on Diablo 4 by just putting up a banner of Diablo 4 and everybody would have went nuts for it. But instead they announced the mobile game, which I don't think ever came out. I don't even know.
Yeah,
I
it
think it
did.
did.
They did some stupid trial beta. People loved it. It was whatever.
It came out to very little fanfare, though. in the larger scale of things. It's not like we were talking about articles about it for weeks.
Well, and I think that's where you look at it and you go, okay, you know, that's that type of announcement's fine because at least people are working on it and they know. The original Starfield announcement was kind of set up that way, which is we're working on this. It's going to be a very long time from now before this comes out, but here it is. And
Same
then
thing
this
with Elder Scrolls 6.
Yep.
So.
And then we've got E3. They, I guess it was E3 when they announced this time, showed us the Starfield stuff, and it was literally a person inside of a ship.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all we got, and a date, which is November of next year.
Yeah.
So now you're giving us November of next year. We've lived through Fallout 76 days. Like, can you give us an actual, you know, an actual product on the day you're telling us to do it? Now that you got, you know, Microsoft money behind you as well to kind of help you out, are you able to actually do that release date?
We'll find out next year. Only 360
Like,
something days left.
If that's all they're going to give, that's fine. Just, like, I don't know. They're just... You just got to be careful on how you announce games. And as consumers, you have to be careful on how much you hype yourself up. You need to learn restraint. Like those people who sit at their computer spamming F5, refreshing the page, looking for some more news. I'm guilty of it. I sat there when Classic WoW was announced, looking at new articles every single day. And every day that I didn't get something new, it was like, oh, God, this is so painful. Just... You got to be manageable with your expectations. Luckily, I didn't have to wait that long for Classic.
You know, and then you have a case like last year with Cyberpunk, in the fact that they kept delaying it, but they would delay it within 2-3 months of when they were going to do it, instead of saying, look, because of 2020 being a total shithole, and we get you on this game, we're going to delay it until 2021 at whatever date. Well, to be fair, a lot of people still don't have the game yet, but.
They should have delayed that motherfucker for like another 5 years or so, because even after the whole like year of updates, it really feels like they kind of moved a couple of inches instead of the miles that they needed.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with that.
They did.
So they really needed to be like, all right, this game needs a lot more time to cook. Just, you're gonna have to give us time. We want it to be perfect, and instead they went the Fallout 76 route. And just released some hot garbage.
Well, and you could say No Man's Sky as well.
Yeah.
On that one.
No Man's Sky,
which I'm still not.
Is
No Man's Sky, I'm not 100% sure is not partially Sony's fault for giving them the money. The flood happening, most of their shit having to be restarted from scratch. But the fact that the guy never came out and said anything, hey, this is not going to be what we promised you because of this shit, then. You know, you just never know. I mean, you got to throw Hello Games under the bus a little bit for that one, but they finally got the product 6 years later, 5 years later, whatever it is.
The product is super good. Here we are 6 years later. Like, I've heard, like, watching the trajectory of this game where it came out looking like a hot pile, and it's actually a really fun game that people enjoy now, which is good. It's what they wanted to begin with, but we, as consumers, had to buy it, sit on it for several years, and then we finally got our product.
And now it's on Game Pass, so if you wanted to play it that way,
exactly, you want to play it, just go play it on Game Pass. Cool. GG.
So, all right.
Since we're talking about Blizzard,
more Blizzard news.
Yeah, there is the. So you remember a few months ago, and when I say a few, I mean 3. Blizzard announced that they were gonna have basically co-heads run things, and it was gonna be this lady and this guy. Yeah, the lady's like, y'all have done a lot to inspire me to go out and make change on my own. I'm gonna go forth at the end of the year and find another thing to do. Paraphrasing, obviously. That was not the exact quote on her resignation letter, but at the end of the year,
it's pretty close, to be fair.
Yeah, she'll be leaving to go do other things, which, red flag number 1, she's leaving this position without a position in place. That should tell you that some shit's going on behind the scenes right there, because most of the time when people, especially the people in higher positions, are leaving a company, they're leaving for another job. She's just like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care what I have to do after this, but it's not this.
I feel like there's a I didn't sign up for this shit mentality that's there. And that's the reason. So on top of her saying that she's not leave, she is staying there until the end of the year.
Yes.
But it's not in that position.
No,
it's actually going. Yeah, she'll be.
I think when she signed up to be president of Blizzard, she did sign up for that. Like, you know, all of this came out and then she took the position. She knew what it was, but after being in that position for a couple of months and seeing what she has the power to change, she was like, these motherfuckers aren't working with me. I can't do anything to actually change. It's one of those things where you're a good person and you're trying to do the right thing and you finally get into a power position, and then all the people around you are just keeping you held down to where you actually can't do anything.
I mean, there's
So
a lot
she's
of
like, fuck this.
It just
I'm
feels
just
like
leaving.
a puppet position.
yeah, there's a lot of
Exactly.
speculation that because it was Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra. Jen's the one that's gonna leave. There's some speculation that even though it was like a co-position, he has all of the actual executive power, and she was kind of like the PR,
A figurehead.
place, like Black said, which is kind of a puppet position. And realized, a couple of months into the job that that's what it was, and that they were more concerned with changing the outward PR than actually dealing with the problems on the inside. Again,
That
speculation,
seems
heavy
about right.
speculation. But I mean, really, part of her statement when she was leaving is this energy has inspired me to step out and explore how I can do more to have games and diversity intersect and hopefully make a broader industry impact that will benefit Blizzard and other studios as well. She's like, I can't do anything here, so I'm just gonna leave and try to find somewhere I can actually make a difference. Is exactly what that says.
What it sounds like to me is she's actually going to build her own company that helps create, whether that's I'm going to create a union.
Yes.
That could be what it is. I'm going to start a union and do this, because I don't know how much money she made as the head of Vicarious or president there. But it's one of those where it's like, I feel like that's what she's trying to do and bring those in and those knowledge. One of the things that they're keeping her on for is they've got, and please keep in mind, this is the lowest number that I could think of for this particular thing. They put $1 million for a grant Activision has to put into nonprofit organization for Women in Games International. And they're going to have her run it, which means you had nobody running it.
Yeah.
Is what that means to me. And you're putting her in charge of, which is great because she's wanting to make a difference. And I think that's where she's saying for Blizzard too.
Yeah.
I think that's where that comes from. And then, and she's wanting to keep in good graces. So when she creates whatever it is to help out everybody, she can still go to Blizzard, Activision, and try to create, some type of, keep some type of networking there. It's one of those where it's, if we have more people change and leave, I think this is absolutely going to start to crumble on top of one another. You're just going to see blocks knocking down the next section.
Can we point out the irony that last week we were talking about Blizzard making a statement that they wanted to hire more women into the company, and then one of the highest paid women in their company is absolutely leaving with like no plan, but effective immediately she's not doing that job anymore and she's going to be gone by the end of the year. Like, I think that's a little weird.
Like that's pretty bad.
That's pretty telling of how much they actually intend on changing, because it sounds to me like not much. So that's a fun thing. Like,
it sounds like they're just trying to appease and until all this blows over.
they really are.
As
They're
much
trying
as
to
they
hold
can.
on until people forget about it. But there's articles every
Oh,
week. We're not
man.
forgetting about it.
No, these last 4 months have been absolutely catastrophic for Blizzard.
Yeah.
Activision Blizzard.
I'm just wondering how long they're going to be able to hold on. And whether or not their stock stuff is going to recover, because they don't have anything to announce yet. Their stock price has dropped partly because they announced 2 big delays. So that's, 2023 is when we're looking at for that. So it's not even next year. So it's not like it's going to recover when they release these games next year. It's going to continuously trend down because, WoW players are down, Diablo players are down. There's nothing that you're going to launch in the next, 6 months to a year that's going to boost that back up unless you rush out Lich King for Classic, because that would bring people back since that was the golden age of WoW.
I almost feel I feel like this is putting all your eggs in one basket type thought processing that Blizzard had to start with, because I feel like what they did is they went, here's WoW. It's this juggernaut. We're going to put as much into this as we possibly can for retail, and people are going to love it. And we've got millions of people that are doing that, everything else. And we're not going to work on a whole lot on the back end. Like when Overwatch came out, it was one of those where people were really surprised when it first came out. It was a good product. They put a good product that was out there, but I don't feel like that over the 20 something years, you've had a lot of diversity when it comes to their games, which I think that was the idea behind a Blizzard fan is we get quality that comes along with that. Well, quality's gone down with retail. So
Yeah.
that's no longer a thing. You know, and I think that you don't have a whole lot being released, where with the advantage Activision has is the fact that they have other games that they publish outside of COD that they've published, but they've also been around since what, the 70s. Activision's old, right?
Yeah, it is. It's
Um,
older. I don't know if the 70s is correct, but I know it's old.
Yeah.
But Blizzard did try to diversify for a little while, because they had StarCraft and then Diablo and WoW were their big ones. Then they branched out with the shooter for Overwatch. They also had Heroes of the Storm, which is your MOBA. They did the card thing with Hearthstone. They've cut not Overwatch, the MOBA one out, Heroes of the Storm. They cut that one out a couple of years ago, I think, is when they were like, yeah, we're not really supporting this anymore. They pulled all the esports out of it and everything. Hearthstone, I think they're still doing esports for, but it's much less talked about now. They've really let it dwindle. Like, they pushed out a bunch of stuff within a couple of years and then kind of like gave up on it, you know? They let it exist for a while and then they let it go. And I can't tell you exactly what changed that in that respect. I don't know if they tried to, if it was I can't remember when that downside started to happen. It might have been right around the time they did Battle for Azeroth, and it started not doing well for WoW, so they wanted to try to dump resources into that, and they couldn't really bring it back, and they haven't yet, because even now, they're not really patching the current retail stuff with Shadowlands like they used to patch other stuff, so there's no new content, which is part of what's contributing to player decline. So I don't know what their plan is in the future to try to move these stock prices back up, because unless they can knock it out of the park with a really great retail patch, or they're going to push out Lich King, which I think would be way too soon, for Classic, I don't really see what's going to save them.
No, there's not. Basically, Blizzard is going to sit on life support until Activision Blizzard just decides to cut it off or just dissolve it.
I kind of wonder
I'm
what
looking through the whole history of Activision and whatnot, and yes, they were made October 1st, 1979.
It was barely under the line there with the 70s.
Bobby
I knew
Kotick
it was the
during
70s because of Atari era.
The merger was extremely stressful for Kotick to give up his position as the big man in control. Like, it was bad. Like, he did not want to do it, but he needed, because Activision was at that point declining fast, and they needed something that would merge them into a sustaining game culture, and the perfect one was Blizzard.
So basically, Activision was the one that was limping along, clamped onto Blizzard, which was successful at the time, and now they're just pulling each other down. Actually, Activision's like, no, we've got Call of Duty.
Well, and I'm looking at StarCraft, which is this is kind of my point behind it, which is they have a hold of whatever it is that they have, and then they just try to update what that is. StarCraft originally came out in 1998.
Yeah, it's old.
In 2010 is when they came out with the second one.
Yeah.
So we've still 11 years since the last one was released. You're not going to get a third one. So it's like, you know, it's like it was arguably their other game that they were known for. We got like 2 people working currently on Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, it's
like
a
just keeping it running
basically a
essentially.
skeleton crew.
Yeah, and so it's like I just think that the reason Classic was made was for people to get, you know, energized again about WoW, because they know that's their juggernaut. They know that's what they can depend on.
But it's not really what it's doing though, because WoW retail is so watered down and just bad.
That's what happened is when that they merged. That is the year that it started declining, because after Wrath of the Lich King, their subs have never reached that peak again, and it has like went and then it's always come down. Like, you can tell Blizzard was able to survive on releasing small terms of game, like small short versions of games in long periods of time, but they came out and they were incredible. Like, every time Blizzard released a game, it was a hit. Now when they release a game, it's got a mark on it where people are just like, whatever. It's because Activision is pushing it, and they skewed what Blizzard wanted. Their community, good polished games, and a fun atmosphere. And
Well, they're
Activision
depending
is
on their
business.
back catalog to stay alive.
They are now, yeah, because their
Now they
current
are.
catalog is suffering too hard. They just can't.
Mhm.
They wanted to add too much to keep players engaged. So instead of it just being the handful of dailies that we used to do back in like Lich King and whatnot, now you've got all of these dailies that you need to log in for, and these weeklies, and these mythic keys that you need to log in for, and all of this artifact power or whatever arbitrary resource that you need to gather that you can't transfer between specs now, but you want to change specs, so you got to redo all of your grinding, and it's going to keep you on the treadmill for another 27 hours this week, and it's not fun. It's basically transparent at this point. The game might as well just say, we only want you to log on because we need your numbers. Not even
I
any
gotta-
storyline.
I got a question and this has been building based on this conversation. So my question for you
Okay.
is, you said Lich King was the highest their numbers have ever been, correct?
Lich King,
Yes.
Okay. So with Lich King, is it one of those where if you were in charge of Blizzard at the time, would you have gone to whatever the next one is, create your own? You don't have to go with the same one. Just create your own and ended WoW completely and created WoW 2 after that? Or would you have done, how would you have done it?
I don't know.
Or what
that
would
I
you have
would've-
done differently?
I
Because
think they were between-
stressing problems is cool, but how do you think the problem should have been fixed?
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue was that they wrapped up the story from Warcraft. Like, all of the fans who have been with Blizzard forever, like, were following that storyline from their very
Yeah.
first game, and it ended in Wrath of the Lich King. And when Cataclysm came out, they literally they did hit the reset button. They redid the entire world. They changed it to a much more casual atmosphere. There
Well,
wasn't
that's part of the problem I think that I was going to point out too, is the casual thing, is because Cataclysm is where they made the choice. When Cataclysm came out, the dungeons had mechanics that you had to learn, just the base dungeons. So basically, you couldn't be an idiot in a dungeon. You had to actually treat it like a mini raid, so that you didn't stand in the fire, or you figured out how things worked so that you did the dance right in this, whatever. But people complained about it, and like half the player base complained that this is all too hard, and that's where they made the decision to make it casual friendly instead of making it any sort of challenge. And from then on, it was not as much fun because it wasn't as challenging. You didn't have to think about anything when you went into a dungeon really for a long time. You could just go in.
So it's
and
almost
just
like they should have
raffle
created a difficulty level.
I mean,
Like created WoW
Theoretically,
2 and
that's
then
what-
had it to where you had like the casual version of it, is say like the intermediate, we'll say, and then have like experienced level to where it would have
well,
been
they
able
had
to.
heroics and normals. I
Yeah.
think at that point, like it would have been a very, very, very tough bullet to bite. But starting over or starting the story afresh, maybe doing a time skip or something to kind of put World of Warcraft's history back and
Yeah.
then moving forward, creating a gap between
Didn't they do
the
that
lore.
one of them where like it was like
there's
something
a time
flipped through?
travel one,
Yeah,
but it's
it's
not a
some
time gap.
terror.
Basically, one of the bad guys figures out
Like,
how to jump to an
They
alternate
should
version of
have
time.
they should have restarted the lore, because it feels like you beat it. When you beat the Lich King, you feel like you actually beat World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And then they've been trying to one up the big bad every
Well, I
single
mean,
time.
I would argue that Cataclysm wasn't the worst choice as far as storyline and where to go with things. That wasn't terrible to be a follow-up to Lich King. It was not gonna measure up to Lich King, because like you said, Arthas was like the pinnacle of bad guy in the series that you've known is somewhere out in the world and lurking. Like, he is
Well,
a
no,
problem.
you know exactly where he's
but-
at the whole time.
Yeah, you know,
I
he's
think
an ice
part of the
bound, but-
problem is that, like, in Classic and TBC and Wrath of the Lich King, the big villains are
Feel
like all on
big.
the same shelf.
Well,
Like,
and
they're
you feel
all
like
on the
you're
same
really
shelf.
working towards something to when you get there, instead of now, like, because I can't speak on Shadowlands because we did not buy it. Like, Shadowlands is the first expansion that we didn't even try it out. We were like, nah, not interested anymore, because Battle for Azeroth, the previous expansion, was so terrible. Because what do you got this big, like, war that's supposed to happen, But you know, for game mechanics, it can't happen. So what is the payoff from that? Not to mention how they treat you. In the first game, base game, you're just some adventurer. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares who you are. You're just doing stuff and gathering power. And yeah, you're going to group up with 40 people and eventually go fight Ragnaros and things like that. Cool. You're part of a big group that made a big change. And then you move to Burning Crusade, where the groups are a little bit smaller, but you're still, like, you're not widely known. You're just, somebody that participated in this big deal. You're not treated, super different, but you're
treated
working
as a
towards...
foot soldier.
Yeah.
You're just a foot soldier.
Yeah, but you're working towards fighting Illidan. Like, big bad's out there. You gotta go get it. You just gotta get some stuff in order first so you can do that. And so,
well, technically, no. Like, when you come into the Dark Portal, you don't know shit. Like, you're literally being sent in.
Like, once you're in there, that's what you're in there doing, is figuring out what you need to put in order to stop this, bad thing and this bad guy.
Yeah, to a sense, but, like, going from the old lore into TBC, it's been closed. It was closed for the entire duration of history up to that point. When they shut it down, it's been closed. We lost all of our heroes, and then one day, it opens. And we're like,
oh, cool.
Well, what's in there? And the guy's like, hey, you guys were adventuring, right? You seem like you're good soldiers. Go through the portal and find out what the hell's been happening back there.
You go through the portal because
like,
it's not going to matter to us if you're dead.
Yeah, we're like, well, shit, this is pretty fucking wild, and we just start helping the people there.
We are kind of explorers in a way for Burning Crusade, so we're still not, like, important figures. And then by the time that we make it out to Northrend to deal with the Lich King, we're not named people who everybody knows. We're like, okay, we're in that group that we, survived going to Outlands, and now we need to go survive this next challenge. But by the time that we get past that, like a couple past that, we start becoming champion of Azeroth and hero and
God Slayers and all this wild stuff. Shit.
By the time that we get to, like, Legion even, it's like, I'm the biggest badass on the planet, and everybody here knows my name. All these NPCs address me by name, even if they've never met me, because I'm so cool. Where do you go from that plateau? Like,
we can.
I feel like based on what you're telling me is what. I feel like based on what you're telling me is after Lich King, is what should have happened is basically had been like 1,000 years in the future, and here's the effect of what's happened into the area because of that, or an alternative, go back through whatever portal it was, and you turn around and go, here's a new world for you to explore. This other portal opened up that we never knew anything about, and boom, popped up, right?
They let us be too big for our britches, really.
Also thinking about it now, and I don't want to keep this conversation going on forever, but what should have happened after Wrath of the Lich King is that we should have dealt with the Burning Legion. Yeah. Because Arthas's army of the undead is pretty much one of the reasons why the Burning Legion was like, it's an infinite army versus an infinite army. We really don't want to, get down back on Azeroth and do this immovable objects versus unstoppable force thing where we're just fighting forever. We stopped the Lich King. He's in...
Yeah, we took him and his army off the board. We are free game now for the Legion, but they just ignored us for like a decade for some reason.
Yeah, then they come back randomly. It's like, okay, I get them doing the time skip thing to make him come back. Then they attack. It's like, that's too convoluted. Arthas is gone. The Legion is like, now is our chance to strike Azeroth. And then they invade. Like, that would have been a perfect follow-up. Having to deal with the Burning Legion again.
I'm going to borrow one of Chicken's favorite phrases. But it's an Occam's razor thing, where it's like, the simplest solution should have been with the way they went with it. But they didn't. It should have been, this is the natural order of things. The Legion would have noticed this happen. They would have immediately come back to deal with us. Blizzard just didn't want to write a Legion expansion because we had just done.
But then you still run into
the very least, like they could have done Cataclysm after Lich King to kind of be like, because the Legion wouldn't have been like, let's. Yeah, it could have been like, okay, well, cool, we know that he's dead, let's prep to go. So we get Cataclysm.
Which the Legion probably would have allowed, because it really was like a chaos thing. It tried to throw the world into chaos with that. So, I mean, they probably would have been like, hey, we're prepping our stuff, and that works out great for us. We'll just wait for, them to deal with this Deathwing problem, and then we'll come down. But they
Yeah,
continue
I
to
think
wait.
people enjoyed the shit out of Mists of Pandaria, but I feel like it went too laxed style, where it was
did.
like, big end of the world, floating turtle island.
Yeah, a place you never knew existed because it's a floating turtle island and pandas live on it. Get that expansion out of my face.
People love that one, but like I said, again, we could sit here and talk about WoW for far too long.
Yeah.
So we should probably move on to our
I'm
last couple of
sorry.
articles.
I feel like
No,
I
it's fine.
contribute
It's
heavily to that.
that's the whole idea, because we were moving in from that blizzard. I was just curious, based on how would you change, because it's already a toxic situation, but how game wise would you change it, because they don't have
Well,
an
at this
entire
point, I don't
giant
think
library.
there is a way to change it, but it is a valid question to say, instead of just pointing out that there's a problem, what would you have done differently? Yes, that is a very valid viewpoint to, talk about.
They
Right.
the easiest way after Wrath Lich King, they started looking for quantity over quality.
They did.
And
That was the main
because
out of game
because of the
reason.
shift in fucking vision, they started losing quantity too. So
I
they
think if you
lost both.
finish the Lich King thing and said, okay, here's 1,000 years later, this is what everything's happened.
Then you do a
then-
world reset at that point too.
Yeah, you're doing a world reset and a character reset, and it avoids the problem that Griff was talking about earlier about you being the champion of Azeroth and all that stuff. Instead, you're creating your own characters and moving through.
I can't
Yeah,
even remember
so,
what our
yeah.
final title ended up being, but we showed up to a new area, and they're like, I don't know who you are, go sweep my floors.
Super God of Azeroth God.
Yeah. But I really,
Super
it was
God man
something
of Azeroth.
ridiculous. It had to have been.
Emperor God of Azeroth.
There you go.
I
Emperor,
mean, we're wearing
Super God
titles
of
like
Azeroth.
the God Slayers, so I mean, we got too big for our britches.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Nintendo then. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to go crazy.
Well, now this went from a short show to an extremely long show.
I'm sorry.
Oh, we're fine. Nintendo has announced that they're going to be producing 20% fewer Switch consoles due to the chip shortages. So originally they predicted 30 million total, and it looks like they're going to have 24 million total is what they're going to end up hitting for their fiscal year. So
Sad face, but it's in
that's
every industry.
that's a lot of fucking Switches, though.
I mean, it's
Like-
true.
That's
To wrap onto that too, because I saw there was another article that Nintendo said that they're about halfway through the lifespan of their Switch, which is about right. And then the other Reddit article that I linked everybody, that the Nintendo Switch is one title away from having the most 10 million plus games sold in the history of any console.
Damn.
Like the competition right below them is the Xbox 360, followed by the Nintendo DS, followed by the Nintendo Wii, followed by the Nintendo 3DS, followed by the Game Boy, and then the PlayStation 4.
Lord.
You
It
tell me
amazes me how far the PlayStation is down, and
Yeah.
everybody was like, the PlayStation's got this, the PlayStation's got that. And it's like, go look and see the top ones.
Yeah, like
and it
Nintendo
amazes me because
sells their games, period. And I think the problem is because Nintendo keeps their stuff to their consoles only, and their stuff is so good it moves the whole console. Where everybody else will be like, oh, I'll just play it on something else or play it on something else. Where Nintendo's like, we make console, we make good games, everybody comes to us, and
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I mean, they've been doing it for years.
Yep.
So
Oh,
they
yeah.
know.
I guarantee, I 100% guarantee, quote me here, refer to this one, by the end of the Nintendo Switch's life, the Nintendo Switch will have sold over 20 games that have sold over 10 million copies.
That's-
Guarantee.
I agree with that.
I've contributed
they
to
agree
some
with
of
that.
those.
They will
Bayonetta
100
3 is going to
slam.
be.
Yeah.
Is going to be one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it will.
like
It
the-
really will.
Which game?
I think with
Bayonetta
3DS being gone
Bayonetta
helps
3
those
is-
sales a lot.
Yeah, Bayonetta 3 will oversell 10 million. Metroid 4 will oversell 10 million. The new Pokemons will sell over 10 million. Like, they have so many titles lined up
Breath
that
of the
will
Wild 2.
absolutely demolish sales. Like, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the other, fan bases are gonna be like, oh, it doesn't matter. It kind of does. That's a lot of copies
Yeah.
of a lot.
Well, keep
of
in mind
games.
too that the Mario Kart that we have for the Switch is the one from Wii U.
Yeah, true.
They just took all the DLC, added it into it, and that's what they gave us. So we'll have another one of those come out too.
And I guarantee this new Super Mario one is gonna break over 10 million too with how good it is. Like it's pretty much the Mario Party game that everybody has been begging for.
Yeah.
Online, full capable, like there is no lag. I've seen people playing from across the world and there's no latency issues from across the world.
Yeah. That's pretty
Like,
crazy.
You tell me.
Still have to download an app and put your headphones in if you want to talk to
that's
those
true.
people. But cool.
That's
yeah,
true.
like their software is not that good, but their games and their consoles are really good. I do find it pretty cool that the Xbox 360 is number 2, though. Like the number
That's
2
not surprising,
best-selling
though.
games. That's why I say that the Xbox
really not.
360 era is like my greatest era. Is right there. That 2001 to 2010 greatest era of video games.
I would say that the PlayStation 3, though, until the latter part of its cycle, kind of lackluster anyway, though,
Yes.
compared to the PS2. But the PS2 was just a juggernaut.
You mean you
So
didn't
it's
buy
just
a
kind of
PS3
Yeah.
on day one and get mag?
no.
Yeah. it's
I
so
got it,
unfortunate for
but I got
PS3.
layer.
Oh. So equally as good.
I mean, it wasn't like an absolutely horrible game. It got better when they like took out the forced 6-axis motion shit.
What is the PS3 game that I'm thinking about? And I never played it, but we had so many copies at every, like, no matter which game store I was at, when I was working game retail, no matter which store it was, what part of town, or even when I moved states, there were copies of it everywhere. And it was a guy in a half black and half yellow mask, and I want to say the mask was broken. Was that a Killzone title?
No. I know which one
Resistance,
you're
maybe?
talking
Come on,
about.
come on, Michael. What is it? It's right there.
I want to say like Havoc, maybe.
So,
You
we
think
put so many on the shelves because I think it was a PS3 launch title, but it was just apparently a terrible game.
It's supposed to be another one of those Halo killers.
Yeah,
Ooh,
God, I wish I could
no.
remember. I only remember the cover art. I don't remember the name.
It was absolutely not Havoc. Havoc was made in 1995.
Okay, cool, not that one.
What was the name of it?
Come on, somebody is yelling at their screen on YouTube right now because they know.
I know, right?
Put it in the
I know, I'm
comments.
looking at it.
Put it in the comments before we can think of it.
Don't
I'll take a look
worry,
at
one
them.
of us will think about it.
Oh man, I wish I could remember. Was it Haze?
Haze is exactly what it was.
Okay.
I just pulled it up.
Yep.
I was
Just
like,
pulled
it's
it up.
one word, whatever it was.
I knew it started with
that.
an
Yeah,
H,
it's that
but-
one. It's that one. That's it.
You were really close, Spock. Haze, Havoc, that was really close.
Really close.
He
I gotta give
saw
you
it.
that one.
He saw it.
The
He
yellow
did.
reminded me of it because it was a because didn't the people in it have like black jackets with yellow stripes or something like that? It's, like,
I literally
notoriously-
never played it. I just remember looking at it every time I would put it on the shelf with like the 30,000 other copies of it and go, who's playing this game? Why do we have so many used copies of it? Who bought these?
We use
a lot of
Eurogamer all the
people bought
time.
it, and a lot of people was like, "Wow, this game is horrible," and they instantly
Mhm.
sold it back to us.
It's notoriously bad.
And we use Eurogamer, and they called it this year's most significant gaming disappointment.
Oh. Oh.
That's awesome.
What year was
Damn,
that?
I mean, 2008.
Oh man. Oh man.
May 20th, 2008. It was the Halo killer that did not.
It was not.
do well.
PlayStation struggled so hard. They put out so many games that were supposed to be the Halo killer and just never.
I'll tell you what though, the Resistance games, like I wish that was like something that at least the concept somebody would come up with something similar to that.
The first two were I enjoyed. The third one was just kind of.
Resistance.
so kind of like
looking
Halo.
It up because I, okay.
Get to a certain point, you gotta go.
Yeah,
Eh.
I remember seeing that cover art too.
Well, in our last article, which is also
Sorry.
Nintendo stuff. I mean, I want to wrap this up before we're here for 3 hours.
I don't even know. I haven't
Oh,
been
come
looking at
on.
how long we've been on, so I don't even know.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a
now.
half.
I'm gonna be sad about editing. Go ahead.
Yes, you will. The last one, a Nintendo hacker. I don't know where these Bowsers keep coming from. Gary Bowser pleads guilty. We talked about this one a little while back.
And no,
was
it's
the
not
one
the
that
same
was-
guy that's running Nintendo. That's Doug Bowser. Why are
But
they
we don't know
both?
if he's related or not.
Why are they the same? I was so confused.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Okay.
go ahead, Chicken.
His plea agreement includes the acknowledgement that he developed, manufactured, marketed, and sold a variety of circumvention devices that allowed enterprise customers to play pirated versions of copyrighted video games, commonly referred as ROMs. So basically, he sold you devices that could let you crack your Switch so that you could play pirated games. And Nintendo is like, nah, that's not gonna work. And to be fair, he might have, been able to say you're doing it for the people, but he was charging people to unlock the playing of pirated games. So he wasn't being one of those anonymous I'm doing it for the people thing. He was, I'm doing it for the money, and that's where you lose the good
He was
faith
doing
in
it
what you
for
were doing.
profit.
Yeah, like if he did not take any money and was just doing it, as a pirate, then, you might get a little bit of leeway in your department, but no, not when you start charging the people. You're looking for money at that point.
Well, and it's different than an emulator too, because what makes emulators to where they're gray area is the fact that those games that are on the emulator are the exact games that were on the actual console itself. And they're no longer made nor can be bought in any way whatsoever.
Right.
Which is why you see Nintendo continuing to sell their stuff over and over again, is so they can knock that out of the park.
Rights and not be able to fall into that gray area. He will be facing a $4.5 million fine and up to 10 years in prison.
And they'll probably make an example out of it, I guess.
He did a guilty plea that he may have done some kind of a plea deal to avoid some jail time and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There were three of them. Because the U.S. government is the one bringing the charges as a team executor, but the things escalated when the U.S. government filed charges against Bowser and alleged fellow team executor members, Max Lauren and Yuaning Chen from China. So it was a Canadian guy, a French guy, and a Chinese guy. And they
That's a very
have
international group.
Yeah. They found Bowser in the Dominican Republic and extradited him back. He done. Lauren was arrested in Canada, and they are now seeking extradition on his ass too. And Chen is still hiding for now. So 2 out of 3 isn't bad. We'll see when they.
I wonder
catch
if part
the
of that
last one.
plea. I wonder if part of that plea is, can you tell me how to find him?
Yeah.
Oh,
Where
I
are the rest?
guarantee he's
Yeah.
like, where's that last guy? Because they're gonna get you.
Well, and part of that plea too could have been to where, and I'm just thinking outside the box, and I could be completely wrong, but part of that plea could be too to where he has to agree to work with Nintendo to
fix
tell
this.
them where
Ooh.
their
exploits
leaks
are.
were, right? Where their exploits are, and have those to where they can kind of sell them off.
Interesting. One of the comments
I mean,
I
that's
wonder.
usually how it goes too.
I wonder if the FBI agent that turned up to arrest him was dressed as Mario. Finally, Mario takes down Bowser for good.
Jesus.
I could probably
Somebody
see
dressed
that.
as Toad answered the door and says, "Sorry, he's in another house."
Oh no! The saga continues.
Anything else?
No, that's all the news.
Long enough show for you? Come on now.
Yeah, every
I mean, we
time
can
I'm
keep
like
going.
short show, we just talk about everything, and I'm not complaining. It's been fun. I'm just saying.
We do appreciate everybody who hangs out with each and every week on Infinite Respawn. As always, you can check us out on Twitter at InfiniteResPC. You can check me out personally at MDB Oaktree. Check out Griff.
At Grips Lineup.
Check out Chicken.
That'll eat chicken through and through.
Check out Baka.
Baka Pickle.
Also, make sure you go to Griff's YouTube channel where she's currently playing through Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah.
She's got one out. Another one's about to come out.
Yeah.
I
Well, actually,
recommend
They'll
them.
probably come out together because they go together, but I chopped them up
Oh.
just for everybody. You're welcome.
There you go.
Digestive
Make sure you watch
purposes.
those because it is a game that she enjoys a lot of, and a lot of her personality comes out along with those, and her love-hate stuff with those. And what's funny is I know how much she loves the games, and then to hear her talk like she's, I don't know if I want to do this or that, but I usually play as this and then that. Like just hearing her like mindset like being verbalized is fantastic. So make sure that you go on there and hit the like button and the little bell so you know notifications when those come out. Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/Elite Chicken 313. Chicken, you're going to be playing the Sphinx game, Sphinx and the Mummy.
Yes.
Sphinx and the
Yeah.
Curse of the Mummy, is that what it's called?
Sphinx and the Cursed
Mummy.
Ah,
Cursed
I was
Mummy.
close.
You were close.
I
You're going to be
remember
playing that
game.
starting when?
Monday.
Oh, wait, that's
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Today. Yes, today. Now that you're watching it
Look, time is
on
weird.
Monday. It will be Monday, November 8th,
There you go.
wherever you are in the world.
Also, make sure you go to twitch.tv/MDB Oak Tree. You can check me out almost every single day of the week, usually around 9 p.m. Eastern or so. Follow me there. If you want to know anything else, get us on Twitter. We hit
Discord.
it up pretty often.
You
Or
can join
Discord
Chicken's
as well.
Discord. It's always down at the link, so you know. And if the Discord link doesn't work, which it should, just let me know in a comment or send me a Twitter or whatever. Get the message to me and I'll fix it.
For Even Respawn, I'm Oak Tree.
Griff.
I'm Chicken.
Bucket.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.